Dumb, 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 dumb. I mean, it says it's working now, so worth the restart, but I'm such a noob. Sorry. Anyway, let's continue. Um, we're at the peak of the book. Perfect time. My freaking computer to frick out. Okay. Where are we? Oh yeah. Okay. The little mermaid, dressed in silk and gold, held up the bride's train, but her ears heard nothing of the festive music, and her eyes saw not the holy ceremony. She thought of the night of death which was coming to her, and of all she had lost in the world. On the same evening, the bride and the bridegroom went on board ship. Cannons were roaring, flags waving, and in the center of the ship, a costly tent of purple and gold had been erected. It contained elegant couches for the reception of the bridal pair during the night. Oh. Oh, right. Not like not like the bedchamber, I see. The ship, with swelling sails and a favorable wind, glided away smoothly, and the lighting over the calm sea, and lightly over the calm sea. When it grew dark, a number of colored lamps were lit, and the sailors danced merrily on the deck. The little mermaid could not help thinking of her first rising out of the sea, when she had seen similar festivities and joys, and she continued in the dance, poised herself in the air as a swallow when he pursues his prey. And all present cheered her with wonder. She had never danced so elegantly before. Her tender feet felt as if it were cut with sharp knives, but she cared not for it. A sharper pang had pierced through her heart. She knew this was the last evening that she should ever see the prince, for whom she had forsaken her kindred and her home. She had given up her beautiful voice and suffered unheard pain daily for him, while he knew nothing of it. This was the last evening that she would breathe the same air with him, or gaze on the starry sky and the deep sea in eternal night. Without a thought or a dream awaited her. She had no soul, and now she could never win one. All the joy and gaiety on the board ship, till long after midnight. She laughed and she danced with the rest, while the thoughts of death were in her heart. The prince kissed his beautiful bride, while she played with his raven hair, until they went arm in arm to rest in the splendid tent. Oh, it is. Then all became still on board. The ship, the helmsman, stood awake, stood at the helm. The little mermaid leaned her white arms on the edge of the vessel and looked toward the east for the first blush of morning, for that first ray of dawn that would bring her death. She saw her sisters rising out the flood. They were as pale as herself, but their long, beautiful hair waved no more in the wind and had been cut off. "We have given our hair to the witch," they said, to obtain help for you, that you may not die tonight. She has given us a knife. Here it is. See, very sharp. Before the sun rises, you must plunge it into the heart of the prince. When the warm blood falls upon your feet, they will grow together again and form into a fish's tail, and you will once more be a mermaid, and return to live out your 300 years before you die, and change into the salt foam. Haste, then. He or you must die before sunrise. Our old grandmother moans for you, so that her white hair is falling out of sorrow. Ours fell out under the witch's scissors. Kill the prince and come back. Hasten. Do you not see the first red streaks in the sky? In a few minutes the sun will rise and you must die. And then they sighed deeply and mournfully and sank down beneath the waves. This is us. Wow. So beautiful. Eek. The little mermaid drew back the crimson curtain of the tent, beheld the fair bride with her head resting on the prince's breast. She bent down and kissed his fair brow, then looked at the sky on which the rosy dawn grew brighter and brighter, and she glanced at the sharp knife, and again fixed her eyes on the prince, who whispered the name of his bride in his dreams. She was in his thoughts, and the knife's destiny. But the daughters of the air, although they did not possess an immortal soul, can, by their good deeds, procure one for themselves. We fly into warm countries, in the cool, sultry air that destroys mankind with the pestilence. We carry the perfume of flowers to spread health and restoration. After we have striven for 300 years to all the good in our power, we receive an immortal soul and take part in the happiness of mankind. You, poor little mermaid, have tried with your whole heart to do as we are doing. You have suffered and endured and raised yourself to the spirit world by your good deeds, and now, by striving for 300 years in the same way, you may obtain an immortal soul. I must have missed a page there. I did. I was like, how are we just in the air? Who are these air sisters? It's because I skipped a page. Sorry. And the knife trembled in the hand of the little mermaid. Then she flung it far away into the waves. The water turned red where it fell, and the drops that spurted up looked like blood. She cast one more lingering, half-fainting glance at the prince, and then threw herself from the ship into the sea, and thought her body was dissolving into foam. The sun rose above the waves, and his warm rays fell on the cold foam of the little mermaid. It did not feel as if she were dying. She saw the bright sun, and all around her floated hundreds of transparent, beautiful beings. She could see through them the white sails of the ship, and the red clouds in the sky. Their speech was melodious, but too ethereal to be heard by mortal ears, as they were also unseen by mortal eyes. The little mermaid perceived that she had a body like theirs, and that she continued to rise higher and higher out of the foam. "Where am I?" asked she, and her voice sounded ethereal, as the voices of those who were with her. No earthly music could imitate it. "Among the daughters of the air," answered one of them. "The mermaid has not immortal soul, nor can she obtain one unless she wins the love of a human being. On the power of another hangs her ethereal destiny, but the daughters of the air, although they do not possess an immortal soul, can, by their good deeds, procure one for themselves. We fly to warm countries and cool the sultry air that destroys mankind of the pestilence. We carry the perfume of flowers to spread health and restoration. After we have striven for 300 years to all the good in our power, we receive an immortal soul and take part in the happiness of mankind. You, poor little mermaid, have tried with your whole heart to do as we are doing. You have suffered and endured and raised yourself to the spirit world by your good deeds, and now, by striving for 300 years in the same way, you may obtain an immortal soul." The little mermaid lifted her glorified eyes towards the sun, and felt them for the first time, filling with tears. On the ship in which she had left the prince, there were life and noise. She saw him and his beautiful bride searching for her. Sorrowfully they gazed at the pearly foam, as if they knew that she had thrown herself into the waves. Unseen, she kissed the forehead of her bride. Unseen, she kissed the forehead of her bride and fanned the prince, and then mounted with the other children of the air to a rosy cloud that floated through the ether. "After 300 years, thus shall we float into the kingdom of heaven," she said. "We may even get there sooner," whispered one of the companions. "Unseen, we can enter the houses of men, where there are children, And for every day on which we find a good child who is the joy of his parents and deserves their love, our time of probation is shortened. The child does not know, when we fly through the room, that we smile with joy at his good conduct, for we can count 1 year less of our 300 years. But when we see a naughty or wicked child, we shed tears of sorrow, and for that every tear a day is added to our time of trial. Perfect timing. I just finished the book. Just finished it. I know, right? And that's it. That's The Little Mermaid. Really not what I was expecting. It was very fun. Say hello to no one at the moment. I had to restart the stream. Hello. I had to restart the stream because I mucked around with the microphone. Not what I was expecting. Very poetic, very beautiful, and oddly not as sad. I'd never heard the version. I always heard the version where she didn't get the prince and that she turned into sea foam and she sort of gave up everything for nothing. But I never got the ending part where she becomes an air spirit and then like lives with all of the air spirits. This is the photo, by the way, of the air spirits.
That's the original.
Yeah, this is definitely the original, yeah. Yeah, and gets to live all her years kind of being an anonymous drift of wind, and yeah, gets to see all of humankind, which is really all she wants, right? She's just obsessed with being immersed in this completely other world. And she did it. And I think that's a really nice ending for her, actually. But it's clear the ending's like just to make children be good. Because it's like, if we see a good child, then we get to take a year off our existence. And then if we see a bad one, it adds a year. So it's clearly like, oh, do you want the Little Mermaid to get to live an eternal soul or not? Naughty child. But yeah. Thank you for joining me, whoever ends up watching this. Oh, that just reminded me. This whole time I've been teasing, showing this, which is one of my treasured possessions. Which is why the illustrations of some of those, I was like, the illustrations, remember this. This is like one of my favorite illustrators. It's because of this piece of art that Stefan, who you just saw, made me for Christmas, which is him and I as like the photo before, me as the mermaid, him as the prince that's been taken to the water, not to be drowned, but to be saved, seeing as this is the version of the Little Mermaid, you know, saved him. And yeah, he made this for me for Christmas, and I cried and cried and cried when I got it because it was so beautiful. Thank you for that, my love. And even more proof. And even more proof that I am the mermaid I said I was. So yeah, thank you. And let me know if you have any stories that you'd like to hear. They can be longer ones, but they have to be out of the public domain, I think, just to be safe. Or if you have a story that you've written that you want me to read, I would definitely consider doing that. And yeah. See you in the next one. Bye. Oh, subscribe and like. I think that's what you say. Okay, bye.